Hey, good morning, everybody. So I have gone ahead and baked this. So I used a bunch of my scrap clay, and actually my frame looks kind of cool just as it is. But I'm going to go ahead and add my cane onto it. So adding your cane onto it is one of the options. So I want to make sure that you know how to do that. So first off, if you have your cane, you are going to want to make a whole bunch of slices of your cane. So normally I try to, have as much room as possible. So I would move this off to the side, but you want to have your cane, let's see. Oh, there you go. You can see how thick. So you want to be able to slice off your cane. And our goal, if possible, is to cover the whole thing with just our cane. And remember, this is super sharp. It's like a knife. So when you clean it, be really careful. And remember, you're not cleaning it this direction, right? Like you don't want to clean this direction. You're cleaning it from the back side, and you're keeping your thumbs and your finger away from this edge, okay? Because it's really sharp. Okay, so I already went ahead and sliced a whole bunch of these. So it kind of depends on how big your cane is, what shape your cane is, to determine like how many slices you need and what else you're gonna need to do. So if you have a smaller cane like this one, then, depending on how much clay you have, you might need to have some type of border. So if yours doesn't fill all the way, or you can't, you don't have enough pieces, you might just need to add some coils and some other decorative items, and that would be totally fine. If you have a larger one that does cover the whole thing, then, score for you. But it's up to you how you want to kind of do it. Now, when I started with this one, I realized pretty quickly that like it doesn't go all the way across. Like I'm going to have this little bit of extra. So I wanted to kind of try to figure out how to make that as even as possible. So when I did all my slices, I was like, which one's more important? Is it more important for me to, let's see, if I do 3 this way, is it even all the way across? And actually that's pretty even. So that's what I decided to do. I decided to do 3 in a row this way. And then I was gonna do another thing going this way. Although now that I say that, I don't know where my thing is. That's okay. So I do have some of these pieces cut already. So that way I can, decide how I want to do this, right? And I might need one more slice. So I'm going to go ahead and slice one more slice so I can get that other spot. Boink. Okay. Like this. Okay. So I've got those ones. And if it hangs over just a little bit, that's okay. You don't want it to be like, crazy over the side like this right here. That would be too much. But if it's just a little bit, that's okay. Now you want to try to make the inside parts kind of even. So, if you make smaller pieces, you can make smaller pieces and join them together so that they make a pattern. But you're just trying to fill the space nicely, right? So like if I have these two together, I can kind of figure out like, okay, I want to cut a little bit more off of both of these so I can make them fit in this space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my piece right here on the edge where I know this one's going to go. And I'm going to kind of figure out where's the middle on that, right? And then I'm going to cut at the middle. So I'm going to say that's about the middle. So I'm going to use my little slicer for that. Now this little extra piece, keep it because it's kind of cool, right? Okay, so now I can look at this piece. I can be like, all right, where do I think I need to cut this one? So I think I'm going to go like right here. Okay. So now if I stick these two in here, now they're gonna match in there, right? Now I can keep these little extra pieces, because always keep your extra pieces, and they look pretty cool. So to actually attach these on, I'm going to start with these big ones, and then I'll move over to these small ones. So it's kind of like when we used the glue before. So remember, we have to, it's not Elmer's glue. This is the Sculpey glue, right? The bakeable adhesive. So it's important that we use the right glue for this. Now for this part, I really want to make sure that it sticks really good. And it's kind of a wide piece, so I'm gonna kind of like rub it towards the edges a little bit. I'm not using a ton of glue, just a little bit, but I want to make sure that it's gonna have good coverage. Okay, so then I'm gonna lay this on top. Now I put my glue on the stiff part. I've already baked this bottom part. So since I've already baked this, if I didn't put the glue, this little piece right here would not stick. Okay. So it's really important that you're using the right glue for this, okay? All right, so I'm gonna gently kind of push that down, and I'm gonna continue adding my pieces on as I go. Now the thing is too, is I wanna do a little bit with the edges, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video to watch what I do with the edges, okay? And if your pieces are all fairly close to the same thickness, it'll make that little edging bit a little bit easier, okay? And remember, this glue does not stick permanently until you bake it, right? Okay, now pretend that I have gone all the way around and that I have glued all the way around, right? Because I don't think you want to watch me spend 20 minutes gluing, okay? So pretend I've done the rest of it, all right? So what I'm going to do now is make sure it's kind of stuck on there. If it's a little bit long, I can kind of squeeze it down a little bit and make it like a little bit squeezy this way, right? Make sure that everything fits nice. I do want to make sure that I'm covering the edge of stuff. I don't want to glue this on and have like, you know, a weird border on the edge. If you do have a border, you can cover it up with like a coil or something like that. Okay, so once I have this on here, now I'm going to kind of start joining my little edges. If there's anywhere where it was a little bit different in size, I can kind of flatten it a little bit. I can roll it just real lightly, right? Now I'm not trying to make the lines disappear completely, because that's not very easy to do, right? Unless you have like the perfect cane. And even if you do, it can still be really extra hard. But if you roll towards the little gap, you can usually close most of the gaps in pretty good, okay? And get it as kind of even as you can. Now around the outside, I'm gonna kind of roll the edge a little bit. So I'm pushing down a little bit, and I'm rolling it around the edge because I want the edge to have a picture on it too. Now, like I said, you can add a coil on there if you need to, but since my clay, my cane is a little bit on the bigger side, I'm just gonna kind of roll my edge. Now, have a paper towel handy, so like if you get a color on your clay, like, because mine's all white, so if I got a little bit of brown on my finger, I can wipe it off, and that'll make it a little bit easier to keep it nice and even and clean. Okay, so I'm just rolling my edges. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Now, like I said, if you don't have enough clay for that, like if your thing's a little smaller, then you could make a coil of clay. So you could take some of your extra scrap pieces and you could make a little coil and you could add a little border. It just depends on what you need. I'll do another video on that later. But for this one, like I said, I'm just going to kind of roll the edges a little bit. So it covers up the side, right? So I'm not going to see that side bit. I'm just going to see more of the cane. All right, so you would keep doing that all the way around. Just make sure you keep your fingers clean. Make sure you're using the Sculpey bakeable adhesive and not Elmer's glue. That doesn't work the same way, right? And then once you've got it all the way around and it looks nice, then go ahead and bake it. But just remember, once you bake it, then you can't round edges or anything like that, okay? And when you do bake it, if yours is flat like mine, because you're just using canes, flip it over and bake it face down, okay? Because that way it'll keep it a little bit flatter, okay? Now, if you have bumpy stuff on the surface, like if you're doing the other one, then you're gonna bake it with the bumpy stuff up. But all right, thanks everybody. I'll see you next time.